subscribe if you're new, you absolute legends. But also, the Champions League semi-final is upon us. Three massive clubs are scrapping it out to compete in the Istanbul final. What? Why are you looking at me like that for, Man City fans? I didn't say which club. No, in all seriousness, Man City, over the last 10 years, what they've won, you have to say, they are a big club now, right? But listen, there are 4 major teams scrapping it out to be in the Istanbul final. I mean, of the 4 teams left, there is only one current player who was in the stadium when Liverpool won the miracle of Istanbul in 2005. Scott Carson. You know that third choice City goalie who probably stinks of wee? But lads, here's my predictions. This is going to be the most perfect semi-final prediction you've ever seen. Right, let's go. AC Milan versus Inter Milan. AC Milan versus Inter Milan in a Champions League semi-final. Can anyone else feel themselves dribbling onto the floor? An all Milan derby, where the prize for winning is a legit place in the Champions League final. This game is going to be so incredibly tense. Both sets of fans will probably wake up in the morning of the match, and honestly, I have no doubt they'll instantly be vomiting last night's pepperoni into a box of Frosties. This is terrifying, because I remember when AC Milan took Inter Milan on in a Champions League quarter-final in April 2005. I mean, really, yeah, the final that year was also in Istanbul. But honestly, that quarter-final was the most quarter-final I've ever seen in my life. AC won the first leg 2-0. They went 2-0 up in the second leg, only for the game to be abandoned after 72 minutes when Dida, the Milan goalie, was hit by a firework in the stands. So UEFA just immediately cancelled the match and awarded Milan a 5-0 aggregate win. Lads, the last time these two clubs faced each other in the Champions League, it literally ended in disgrace. How many European quarterfinals do you know where the officials wouldn't even let the players finish the match? So honestly, my only bit of advice for Mike Mainan, maybe you should walk out on the pitch wearing a hat. Because, I mean, if not fireworks, at some point, you'll probably have a bacon sandwich hurled at your skull. Don't underestimate just how weird this tie is going to be. I mean, Chris, both legs are in the same stadium. That's already weird enough. I mean, Hakan Çalhanoğlu is a former AC Milan playmaker, currently representing Inter. Oh dear. Maybe he should turn up to this match with his own private security and a bulletproof vest. Lads, who expected either Milan club to reach the semi-final for the last 10 to 15 years? Both these Italian giants have been like recovering alcoholics who lost their house, abandoned their kids, and just spent a decade drinking whiskey in the park whilst robbing school kids for their sweets. For 10 years or so, both these fallen giants were forced to sign hideous rubbish while Juventus dominated the league. I mean, lads, since AC Milan last won the Champions League, both Milan clubs have failed to beat the likes of Portsmouth and Southampton in Europe. Although, really, it was only in 2001 that Inter Milan got beat by Ipswich Town, and Ipswich Town with Titus Bramble at the back. I mean, what happened there? Both these fallen giants went slumming for years. But the fact that they both since been rehabilitated and have both lifted a Serie A title since, and now one of them is guaranteed to be in the Champions League final. It honestly warms my heart, as if I'm watching some Disney film with my nan. Yeah, I think she fancied that balloon bloke off Up. I mean, you just know his knob wouldn't work. Lads, the Champions League final is at Istanbul. This was the city associated with AC Milan absolutely bottling a 3-0 lead against Liverpool in 2005. It was single-handedly the worst night in the history of the club, but one of the best for the Inter fans. I mean, to be fair, Milan did actually lift the Champions League trophy that night. Milan Barros. So on one hand, proud Milanistas probably thinking that it's their destiny to finally avenge that defeat on this haunted ground, while Inter, they want to do what AC never could. In the same way KSI wants to fight Tommy Fury. I mean, of course, his head would be smashed into a pumpkin, but still, can you imagine? Can you imagine how strong the Inter Milan gloating would be if Istanbul is not only the place where their city rivals absolutely pooed the bed, producing the biggest ever Champions League final bottle job, but it's also now the city where Inter win their first Champions League in 13 years. Oh, can you imagine AC Milan coming head to head against Real Madrid in the final? Carlo Ancelotti was the man who, let's be honest, utterly messed up that 2005 game for Milan. I mean, his team were collapsing in the second half, and he didn't make his first substitute until the 85th minute. So this will give AC a chance to beat their former coach in Istanbul. Oh wow. Well, this whole thing makes me a bit sad, because the Zlatan Ibrahimovic fairy tale dream is dead. I mean, the legendary striker is 41 years old and has never won the Champions League. I mean, he even quit Inter Milan for Barcelona the summer before they won the treble, and then he quit Barcelona the summer before they won the Champions League at Wembley. So it's been like how Messi finally won the World Cup. You're probably all thinking,
oh, how wonderful will it be if Zlatan finally takes the Champions League off his bucket list before he turns 42?
Here's the kicker though. even if Milan do win the Champions League, he won't get a medal. This man should just retire because honestly, his body is just begging to die. He's been injured all season long. I mean, he hasn't played a single minute in the Champions League all season. He has a gigantic ego who hasn't seemed to realize that his body is now as frail as a grandma with the mumps. Honestly, even like Pierce Brosnan wanted to be the next James Bond, he can't do it anymore. This guy is still officially an AC Milan player, but they let him out of the Champions League squad. I'm not sure how they dared to do that to a man of his colossal ego. I mean, I thought it was weird when Chelsea omitted £72 million Benoit Badiashile from the European squad, but imagine telling Zlatan that he doesn't make the cut. Surprised he didn't immediately hop in his Lamborghini and decided to take out his anger by running over the chairman's bum. Well lads, this semi-final is going to be intense. It's hard to gauge how well both teams are doing right now. I mean, Inter recently went on a horrid run where they picked up 1 point from 5 consecutive league games, scoring just twice along the way. But they've since bounced back with 3 wins in a row, where they've netted 12. Similarly, in 2023 alone, Milan went on a 5-game winless run, where they were battered 4-0 by Lazio, 5-2 by Sassuolo, and lost the Milan Derby. But after a horrendous March, where they picked up 1 point from 9, they've since smashed Napoli 4-0 in the league, again knocked the Italian champions out of Europe, but then again, back to just 1 win in 5. And I still can't forgive the great AC Milan for somehow losing 5-0 in aggregate to a team coached by Graham Potter. I'm still gonna go for a narrow AC Milan win in the first leg though. 1-0. Fikayo Tomori with the goal from a corner kick. It'll be a sluggish, tense atmosphere where most of the players are gonna be frozen in fear. Honestly, a city derby in a Champions League semi-final. This reminds me of 2007 when the Champions League semi-final draw was made, and if it weren't for AC Milan, the Champions League final would have been between Liverpool and Man United. And again, I can promise you, that final in Athens would have been about as fun to watch as seeing 2 stray cats doing diarrhea on your foot. Harry Maguire probably wouldn't be the first Man United centre-back to get arrested in Greece. Nemanja Vidic would probably have tried to beat up Robbie Fowler in the pub. The game would have been far too tense and stiff to enjoy for anyone. And again, this will be another grueling, pretty torrid affair. And the second leg won't be much different. I'll go for a 2-2 draw when Inter have the home advantage. Romelu Lukaku will put them 2-0 up in the first half before they bottle it. AC will grab an early goal in the second half before Divock Origi, a last minute equaliser, and cue absolute scenes. Sorry Inter, but it's just destiny. AC are returning to Istanbul. They just are. Real Madrid versus Man City. Real Madrid and Man City face each other a lot. After this tie, both these clubs have played each other 10 times since 2012. Let's be real, I know Real Madrid are absolute monsters in the Champions League, but I'm sorry, no, Luka Modric is not winning his 6th Champions League this season. Carlo Ancelotti is aiming to lift his 7th Champions League as both player and coach. That is absolutely insane. Lads, imagine when Ancelotti was written off as a semi-retired bloke at Goodison Park. Imagine if since leaving Everton he goes on to win 2 Champions Leagues in a row, since escaping the likes of Ben Godfrey and Michael Keane. But it's not gonna happen. And this won't even be close. Forget the allure of Real Madrid. Manchester City are an entire level above them. I'm sorry, but Madrid this season, I promise you, by their high and lofty standards, they've been absolutely putting puke. If it weren't for their Champions League win last season, I promise you, Ancelotti would have been fired before Valentine's Day and will currently be getting linked with the Spurs job. Real have lost 7 times in La Liga this season. They're currently 3rd on 68 points. Not only do they trail Barcelona by 14, but they're even having to look up and stare at Atletico too. It is a rotten pick 6 season. They are as close to 5th in Europa League football as they are to the top of the league. But weirdly, this is the 4th British club they're coming up against in Europe this season and should be confident, I guess, but again, let's be real. Celtic live in Scotland, and when they played both Liverpool and Chelsea, they were both 8th and 11th in the Premier League. Manchester City are tough, and I have no earthly idea how City did not knock Real out last season, because they were better than them too. Miles better. A year ago, Man City beat them 4-3 at home, yes. But I mean, they had 16 shots at Thibaut Courtois' net. They dominated the game. Similarly, in their 3-1 defeat at the Bernabeu, it was a monster bottle job. First of all, Riyad Mahrez put them 1-0 up on the night after 73 minutes. City were literally winning the tie 5-3 on aggregate in injury time. And then Rodrigo scores 2 in a minute. It was a freak. It was like when Manchester United robbed Bayern Munich at the Nou Camp in '99. You cannot legislate for 3 minutes of absolute lunacy. City were better than Madrid last season, and they're better than them now. Real have lost 10 times this campaign, and they're already in a pretty horrible moment in the league. Since the 19th of March, they've lost 4 times in the Liga. First of all, they were beaten at home by Villarreal. They travelled to Girona and let in 4. Real Madrid are not that good at all. I genuinely believe that Ancelotti is terrified of Erling Haaland, and he should be. The Norwegian monster has only been around for about 5 minutes, and yet has already scored more Champions League goals than either Wayne Rooney or Samuel Eto'o ever did. I mean, those 2 players They reached the final 6 times. This man averages 1.3 goals every single time he plays in the Champions League. And I reckon City are going to absolutely stomp all over Madrid. I think they'll run away with it in the first leg at the Bernabeu. I reckon they will absolutely sweep Real aside. With a 3-0 win in Spain, Riyad Mahrez will score before, another gigantic monster win at the Etihad. I'm going to go for a 5-1 win. Lads, why not? It could and should have been a 5-1 home win last season too. This is going to be wildly embarrassing for Real. A crushing 8-1 aggregate loss. This is going to be the end of an era. It's going to absolutely ramp up their desperation to sign Jude Bellingham. This will essentially bring out the immediate end of Ancelotti's reign as a top-tier coach. But I'm convinced. I know Manchester City are flying into the Istanbul final with absolute ease, which is weird. I mean, imagine going back to May 2005 when Liverpool won the final. I mean, Scouse legend Robbie Fowler is probably jumping around the pub, right? Well, 2 weeks earlier, he'd missed a last-minute penalty against Middlesbrough, meaning that Man City bottled the chance to qualify for the Europa League. They probably looked at Middlesbrough reach the final of that competition the next season, and were sick in their stomach with jealousy. But imagine telling a disgusted City fan back then in May 2005, when Stevie G was lifting that Champions League trophy in that miracle game, imagine telling them that they too would play a Champions League final in Istanbul against a team from Milan. They would look at you as if you had an alien sitting on your head. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Let me know what is your predictions. Let me know in the comment section below if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to give a like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.